Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Black excellence, black beauty, and black pride. Black power from all diasporas coincide. Progressive truth and regression eventually collide. May the beauty of the people no longer be set aside. May the black queen's grace continually mesmerize the millions who couldn't see it when looking into her eyes. And the black man's plight no longer be the disguise. Oppression, emasculation, they wanna castricize him. Take him away from the black queen, put him inside prison for slave labor, he institutionalized. Wondering on the outside, is she willing to ride? Is she willing to ride? Is she willing to fight for the love, even despite the fact that he doing time? Love that conquers all will never fade with time. If she don't choose the love that appreciates every life, his flame might get dim and he may reach.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Urban Impact Show. I am your host today, Dwana Bradley, where we're going to talk about hot topics today. We're going to talk a little bit about masks. We're going to talk about COVID. We're going to talk about vaccinations. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything going on that's happening that is making an impact on our community. And we're going to start the conversation off first today with masks. If many of you know, this is a hot topic conversation. Either you want to wear them or you don't want to wear them. Either they're right or they're wrong. And it's really impacting the schools right now across the country, even here in our own city and state. And I want you to watch a video. I'll share a little bit more about why I'm sharing this video, and we'll talk about it.
Children. The debate is raging all over the country and
no way, you are not masking your children.
The debate is raging all over the country and parents are making their opinions well known.
I don't think anyone's thinking logically anymore. I think they've just let this really just run crazy with masks. It's over. We don't need it anymore.
Districts issued their own policies last school year, and Bucks County, Pennsylvania was mask optional. But on Tuesday, a protest broke out at a press conference held by parents who say the spread of the Delta variant, along with the CDC's new guidance, is enough to make this year mask mandatory.
In another couple of weeks, it is likely to be even worse.
But others say a repeat of masks in the classroom will be detrimental. Stafford County, Virginia is considering a full mandate.
My 8th grader this past year went into a deep spiral depression because of virtual learning and because of masks when we went back to school. Not only did we suffer the deep depression, we suffered severe germophobia. I can't even touch him. I can't even hug my child unless he's about to go take his shower.
In Leon County, Florida, the district is sticking to masks optional, despite opposition from many, including this teacher.
What are our students, teachers, staff, and community worth? Will we look back on this year and say we did everything we could to keep them safe, or ask, why didn't we mask? Why didn't we act when we had the chance?
School officials find themselves endlessly caught in the controversy.
But when we have colliding forces from the federal government to the state government to from the CDC to our local departments of health, we're trying to navigate all of those forces.
Some districts say they are waiting a few more weeks to decide what their masking policies will be. Others caution that any decision made now could change with updates to CDC guidance throughout the school year. And economists have cautioned that any disruption to schools risks hurting women's return to the workforce, since they often take on the brunt of childcare responsibilities. There are 1.8 million fewer women in the workforce now, Shep, than before the pandemic started.
Wow. Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.
Footprint is a material science company. We exist to create a healthier planet, and we're focused today on eliminating single-use plastics and giving our customers something nature can digest.
Reasons. One, I wanted to show the clip to make you all aware of what's going on. This is something that we're dealing with in our community that will continue to be debated and talked about. Oh, give me just one moment. We'll be right back. Sorry. All right, so showing the clip. Another reason why I showed this clip too is because many a times when we have these conversations, when it comes to masks, when it comes to vaccination, when it comes to COVID, we're hearing from many people who don't look like me. And today I want to make sure that all of you that are listening to our show today, I want you to drop your comments and your questions. I'm not a health expert at all, but I want us to have this conversation about masks. How do we feel in our community about the wearing of masks? How are we feeling about sending our kids back to school? How are we feeling about being vaccinated? How are we feeling about the fact that COVID seems to be back on the rise? COVID has never left us, but it's back on the rise. And so that clip just talked about what we've been seeing across the country. Many people are coming to school board meetings now, and they're inundated in with their ideas on this mask and no mask type of conversation, and really coming down on school board members. So of course this hits me a little bit to home, considering that I am on the school board and know that we are getting emails as well about this very topic. So let's talk about it. What do we think about masks? Luana, what do you feel about masks?
Well, first of all, everyone wear one. Vaccinated or not, the variants are real. COVID itself is real. And it's a simple, easy thing to do in order to keep yourself and other people from getting sick. I think the vaccinations, being leery about that, I understand that. Mm-hmm. I have a public health background, and even with vaccinations, you still need that protective gear. Mm-hmm. And I can say for myself, when COVID first launched, I was blessed enough to quarantine, not have any issues. But when the protests start, I was out of the house. Yeah. And around thousands of people. Mm-hmm. And I promise you that mask is what kept me from getting COVID. Mm-hmm. I know that the PPE works. So I'm hopeful that, all of us will, especially in our community, mm-hmm. since the rates are so high, we die faster, and at higher mm-hmm. rates, that at the very least, even before we even start talking about vaccines, at the very least, do the mask. It's mm-hmm. easy to do. You can do it, and it definitely works. I'm a living testament to that.
Yeah. I think for those of you that don't know, here in our state, we cannot have a mask mandate here. Right. So now in other states, governors are operating differently. But here in our state, our governor has chosen to leave it up to Iowans. This is something that I don't believe that she's going to change her mind on. I think many people have tried to push her to make that change. So right here in our state, right now, we can't have a mask mandate, which means in your public schools, we cannot put forth a mask mandate, which is, so you'll hear us in our district here in Des Moines say, we highly encourage and we recommend everyone in our buildings wear a mask. And I will tell you, for me personally, when it comes to masks, I do pick and choose when I wear masks. I don't know if it's now because I'm vaccinated now or if I've changed up a little bit, but if I'm in a space where I'm inside for a long period of time, I'm going to put on my mask. If I'm outside, you're probably not going to catch me with my mask on. If I'm running into the gas station where there might be one or two people in there, you might not see me with my mask on. Doesn't mean that I don't believe in the mask thing. I do believe that this mask thing would help. And I've always asked this question is, what if we all committed 30 days?
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? Just 30 days.
Absolutely.
If you don't believe in masks, this would be the challenge, is if we all just said for 30 days, we're going to wear our mask. Because what I've heard in the news is that if we all wear masks, it's going to decrease this. We get COVID to go away. Everyone says, how do we get COVID to get away? Well, what if we just challenged ourselves to wear the mask?
I love that idea. I think that is an easy thing for us to do. At one point we were all kind of on board. Most of us were on board. When the mandates were out, we know that we can do this, And then I feel like once we started lifting restrictions, everybody got comfortable not wearing them. I'm like you. If you may catch me outside when I can social distance, I may not have it on. But why not? Why not take a 30-day challenge? We all wear it. I don't know, y'all were getting cute with the masks and stuff, matching your clothes and whatnot. We can go back to that. Let's take that lesson, and go back to that. I have a quick question for you, though. Being a school board member, I always wondered, how did you all feel when our governor took away your right to dictate what happens in the schools, because my understanding, she made it illegal for school boards to say that to require masks.
Right.
So how did that feel? It feels like it took power away from the districts.
It does. So I am a big proponent of our local districts being able to do what we need to do because we know what's best. It's just the same way as the federal government gets to operate all things federal, state gets to operate all things state. But what we've been noticing lately is now state is coming in and telling locals what to do. And it's very frustrating because now what it is we can't do it, and so it is when I like just the way you said it, it's taken the power away. And also what it's done is it's made me feel as someone who's been voted in is that I've lost my voice. People have voted me in to speak up for them. People have voted me in to say, well, if I need it to get done, I can count on her to get it done. Well, now what you've done is you've almost tied my hands behind my back because now I'm saying we have to follow the law. And let me be very clear. When we don't follow the law, there are huge impacts to that people might not see, that happen to us. But I think for me, I'll speak to myself. This is not me speaking for the board, but for myself, it really did feel like the power was taken away because people expect me to utilize my voice. And not only that, we at the local level in our school district, we know our district best. Our superintendent knows our kids, knows our population in which we serve, which happens to be a majority of color population. And we want to make sure that we give them the tools that they need to be safe. And in order for them to feel safe, we have concluded that masks are the way to go. But when you've told us now that we can't mandate that, now we're in trouble because guess what? The one place where we have control, we no longer have control anymore.
Exactly. And doesn't it feel like it has become so politicized?
Oh, that's, yes.
When really this is a public health issue. This is not a political issue. This is a public health crisis, pandemic, and that's, I feel like, where we should be operating from. But that move right there and some of the other moves previously really made it feel like, stay in your place, I'm taking your power, and our children are the ones who pay for that.
Right, because, many people, don't know for superintendents, and I know our superintendent has said this before, there's an oath that he feels like he takes in order to protect and keep people safe. And a part of protecting and keeping people safe, we feel, is the mask thing. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But to your point, it has come highly politicized. Now we're talking about it's my right not to wear a mask. And as all of a sudden, I'm like, we're living in a world now where we're talking about the politics of masks, and now it's become this Democratic and Republican issue, and it's become this thing, this chaos, to where I'm saying, but when we needed to take pneumonia shot, didn't we take the pneumonia shot?
You took that shot.
Chicken pox,
you
took the shot. I mean, all of these things that we've had going on through time, when the shot was needed, we took it. Now we're at this place. We're complaining about the shot. We're complaining about masks. And we've got this chaos. And it has become this huge political issue to now we're telling people you're right or wrong. We're screaming across aisles over masks.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing.
Exactly. And when you ran for school board, I know you did not think that position would be so important and so volatile. I know you get emails. I know you get out in our district. I'm not on school board, but I'm heavily involved. Out in our district, last year, they got like 1,500 emails on this mask debate. And school board members who should have honestly put in maybe 8 hours a week. It became a full-time job because of this. That's ridiculous to me. When it's a public health issue.
It is. It is a public health issue. And now we as schools have become inundated with this issue, and it's been very challenging. Just as you said, we get the emails from the parents who you want us to make a mask mandate. We have the parents who want us to defy the governor. We have parents who are very strongly providing their opinions. But what it comes down to is this is a public health issue. It is seeped into the schools. I never thought that this would be something that I would be dealing with a school board, not dealing with these debates. And that's why our district, I know, took a little different approach to this. So instead of having these countless hour conversations like we had during COVID, we spent hours upon hours having those conversations. We're going to have a town hall on August 17th. So this is my shameless plug for that, okay? August 17th at 5:30 p.m. Des Moines Public Schools is going to have a town hall to talk to you about what we're going to do as far as COVID is concerned, you know, how we're going to continue to recommend and encourage people in our buildings to wear their mask. We're also going to talk about how we'll, you know, mitigate things, what safety measures we'll have. You'll hear from our district leaders. And we're hoping that this will allow you to interact with us. So you can ask questions during the live. You can send your questions in ahead of time as well. But we want to inform people as much as possible. And I think what I just want people to know is that everyone's doing their very best. When you've been pushed in these arenas, whether you're school board members, your teachers, your district leaders, like everyone is trying to do their very level best. But it's very challenging when, as you've said, the power has been taken away from you to be able to make the decisions for your district and what you know is best.
Exactly. And my hat's off to you all on school board. I'm so glad I didn't run. I cannot even tell you. But I love the fact that y'all are having a town hall too, because at least, you know, as you always do, you can hear directly from the public. I'm not sure. I don't think we're doing anything like that in our district, and maybe this is a lesson for our district. I know some of our school board members watch the show. Maybe this is something we should think about in all of our districts. And then I really love the 30-day challenge. I really like that. And that's something we could make up our minds to do, just us. Like, you know,
try it. You know, my thing is, I always err on the side of wanting to prove people wrong. So I'm saying for those, I do. I always want to prove you wrong. But in this instance, I'm like, well, what if there's something to it? What if we are the reasons why, you know, COVID and mask and all of these things are still going on? Because we have, you know, everyone who wants to do whatever they want to do. And I think that that's okay in some instances. But I think when we're talking about a public health issue, crisis at this point now, you know, we're not just talking about, you know, something every day. You know, we had the H1N1 that came through and all of that. We're talking about a public health crisis that I think we all need to figure out, what does that look like? And if we work together to make a difference, and what better way, in my opinion, to work together is to challenge ourselves.
I love it.
You know, a challenge, 30-day challenge. Oh, we see it's working for 30 days. Maybe we can talk you into 30 more days, you know, because the goal is to want to get back to normal. But now, we don't know, and I don't even know, I shouldn't say normal, let me take that back. To get back to whatever this new normal is we want to get to. But I think right now we're going to always be in this COVID space. We're always going to be in this mask space because we've politicized it so much that we've told people your rights are being taken away, they're being stripped. And that never sits well with me when I hear those phrases.
Americans do not like that. Americans do not want to be told that their rights are being taken away. And if you use that with any topic, it's going to polarize us. And that's exactly what we did wrong, in my opinion. Looking at COVID from a public health perspective, and as a former epidemiologist, we did everything wrong. We did everything wrong. We really could have nipped this in the beginning. That didn't happen, and now we are where we are. We knew variants would come, you know, and now we're here, and it's also a political polarized issue. COVID's not going away. It's here, you know, it's not leaving us, you know, and so I think you're right. It's up to us now to get a handle on what do we do. You know, and do this together with each other and just make the decision and just do it.
So based off of you, I heard you say former epidemiologist and saying we did all of these things wrong. What are some of the things that you feel like, in your opinion, we could have done differently to maybe change the space that we're in right now?
You know, when it first came, when it first started happening, and we had a patient 0. That patient 0 should have been quarantined, not allowed to travel, and every contact should have been quarantined as well. We didn't, in my opinion, put enough into contact tracing like we should have. I understand that we had a shortage of PPE, shortage of masks, shortage of hand sanitizer and that sort of thing. But if we had, done quarantine a lot earlier, and then gotten really serious about the contact tracing, I think we would be in a better position. Contact tracing is what really gets a handle on.
Got it.
Yeah, because then you can identify your clusters of folks, quarantine them all, and then you can start tracing from there. And that's how you back up a respiratory type disease or a super contagious, disease like that. And we didn't do that. We didn't, here in Iowa, we never even shut everything down. In other places we did, other states did, but in Iowa, we never shut everything down. We shut this down, and then we waited 2 weeks and we shut that down. And as long as people are moving, about, then it's going to be out of control. So, and then how do you trace,
Exactly.
Yeah. And like in other countries, they have like apps. Like somebody made an app where, you can, if you test positive, then everyone you touch, they can trace off of that app. And people had to check in, when they got to places. Like that's really how you do it, and there is no way, because now we're back to the rights. Yeah. You don't have the right to follow my every move, And so it was just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can still get a handle on it, somewhat, with your 30-day challenge.
See, I think with the 30-day challenge, and I want to give a shout out to Minnesota. One of the reasons I went to Minnesota was because they had that app, and it was able to tell me that everywhere I went, there's an outbreak at this place. There's something going on here. And I think it's just a matter of perception. It didn't bother me that I had that app or that I was reporting anything. You got to understand, if it's talking about keeping me safer, and we can have all these conversations about people are trying to track us and watch us and all of these things, but if it makes me safer, it makes a difference. And I talked to someone who is from Minnesota, and they said that they shut completely down. And if you were even out, you could get stopped and they'd want to know where you're going, and it sounds crazy, but sometimes we have to get to that point in order for this to go away. So I guess the question becomes, do we or don't we want this thing to end?
That's a good question. And I think that's the question we all really need to take seriously. I literally just drove in from Minnesota, and so my app is still going right now, and I found comfort in that. I know that if I went to the mall and there was an outbreak happening there, it would let me know right away. I could divert and go to a different mall or whatever, or stay home, and I feel like that should have been across the nation, but people get leery about, thinking that people are watching them. The reality is, each one of us individually, you're not that important, okay? No one cares where you are and what you're doing and where you're going, all right? That's just the reality, so stop. Right. Not that important. I'm important, and Dwana's important, but we're not that important.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
So, I love the 30-day challenge. I think if we started right there, then maybe we could start even getting into the vaccine conversation, which I don't know if we're going.
We are going to be going to the vaccine conversation today. We're going to take a short break just for a commercial. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about vaccinations.
Hey everybody, Rob Johnson here from the Urban Impact Show. Have y'all heard about the Riverview Music Festival? The Des Moines Music Coalition is bringing a new vibe to the North Side at the Riviera Amphitheater on Saturday, September 4th. This brand new festival features an all black and brown lineup, including Grammy-nominated Earth Gang, Van Jess, Mick Jenkins, Duckworth, Sudan Archives, and Gentry. Tickets are just $35 in advance, so make sure you get yours today. You can visit www.riverviewmusicfestival.com. Or you can go to Riverview Music Festival on Facebook and, of course, Instagram. Add the link to Riverview Music Festival in the chat to enter for a chance for a couple free tickets, and we'll even throw in a free parking pass. So enter it in right now in this chat while you're watching this show. Hey everybody, Rob Johnson here from the Urban Impact Show. A little bit more about the Riverview Music Festival that's happening on September 4th at the Riviera Amphitheater on the north side. There's a local stage as well. Local artists include people like Andre Davis, Free Power, Maria Issa, James Tutson, Space, Charlotte Blue, and the Des Moines Music Coalition Summer Camp. The Zayat Lounge, hosted by Des Moines' very own Marquez, will have local spirits and brew. Big Mo Quezon is bringing out that barbecue. What more can you ask for? So again, get your tickets today. Get them in advance. They're only $35. You can go right to www.riverviewmusicfestival.com or Riverview Music Festival on Facebook and Instagram. Again, don't forget, put the link in the chat right now for your chance to win free tickets, and we'll even throw in a free parking space as well.
All right, welcome back to the Urban Impact Show. You have Dwana and Luana hanging today, and we're talking a little bit about a little bit of everything. We talked before the break about masks and putting out this 30-day challenge to you all. I'm asking you all 30 days. If you don't believe in masks, just try it for 30 days. See if you wear the mask for 30 days. And I'm not saying you got to wear it everywhere you go, but at least if you're indoors with people, you know you're going to be in there for a long time. Let's think about trying to put those masks on and see if we can make a difference, if we can, cut this thing down a little bit. And I'll start with telling you all, I actually have had COVID. My whole entire family had got COVID. Me, my dad, my mom, my daughter. My son didn't have it. I still think he did. I think he was just asymptomatic, but we all got it. And let me tell you, from a person who did try to do everything, from wearing masks to staying in the house to, trying to keep herself safe as possible, wiping down the house, washing my hands, like we did everything. But it was one person in my household who went somewhere and the other person wasn't wearing a mask and said that they believed they had been exposed to COVID, and they didn't tell that individual in my family until it was too late. By that time, one member started displaying symptoms, and then we all live in the house together, so we all got it. And I'll tell you, I was terrified, because I have underlying health conditions. I've got a mom who's in remission from cancer, a father who's had quadruple bypass surgery. And so I'm thinking about all of us and how sick we were and how tired we were and, really how COVID impacted us. So my view on COVID has skewed a little bit because of what I've personally went through. So after I had COVID, many don't know, I ended up getting blood clots after COVID.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, so after COVID was over, I went through this period of, I got 2 blood clots after. So COVID, July of last year, we had COVID. And then in about August, I think, somewhere in there, I got August, December, somewhere in there, I got my first blood clot.
Wow.
Then I turned around in March of this year and got another one.
Wow.
So I've been put on blood thinners for the rest of my life. I honestly think it's related to COVID.
I'm sure it is.
But what happened was I needed to get vaccinated.
Right.
Knowing that I was dealing with some of these issues and knowing that I didn't want to take the chance of getting COVID again, I made the decision to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk a little bit about vaccinations because it's something that really is another division in our country, within our own community. I think, even with us as Blacks are struggling, with the vaccine. And for me, it was really simple choice to get the vaccine. I didn't have to think too much about it. I was scared at first though, because media and how they hype things up, folks are dying because they got the vaccine and but people around me started to get it. And my sister got it first and I looked at her and I'm like, okay, she's all right. And then, I watched another relative get it and then I'm like, okay, well, everyone's doing okay. So why don't we try this? And so I went and got vaccinated. My parents got vaccinated. My daughter did. But we were completely nervous about it. So I don't want to make it seem like we just were like, yay, sign me up, let's get vaccinated. It really took us some time to think about it. But I really thought about it like this. When H1N1 was here, I got vaccinated for it.
Right.
Did it stop me from getting the flu? No. But it did not make me have the flu as long as I didn't have the worst symptoms that I had when I wasn't vaccinated. I found that every year I didn't get vaccinated for the flu, I ended up getting it and it was horrible.
Wow.
Now, I know all of our bodies are different, but that's what happened to me. So getting the vaccination that's how I kind of thought about it. Well, if I've got the flu vaccination, why not get this one?
Exactly.
And yes, did I have side effects? Yes.
Yeah.
I was extremely tired. That was probably the biggest complaint I had, was it sucked energy out of me for about 2 days.
Yeah. Okay.
But after that, I got moving, cramped a little bit.
Right.
I've been fine. So I know people are apprehensive about it, but let's talk about the vaccine. Where are you at with the vaccine and what do you think about it?
So, okay, since you told your personal story, I'll tell mine too. Because I was very leery, extremely leery. And I know that I'm like a lot of other Black people, we have legit reason to be nervous about any new medical procedure. I mean, if we look back through our history, we know that there's violence in healthcare for us and against us. We know our maternal child death rate is off the charts. We know as Black women that when we go to the ER, and this happened to me 2 years ago, just before COVID, I had horrible pain, went to the ER, and they didn't believe me, and so I guess they thought I was drug seeking, what have you, to the point where the doctor ordered pain meds. They gave me an IV. I thought I was getting meds. Turns out I wasn't. And that was the nurse's decision. Wow. She decided to wait. And so it wasn't until I started to vomit that she went on and pushed the meds. And the doctor came through and was like, how long ago did you give her those? Well, I got really busy and because she was standing there the whole time. Wow. So we have legit reason, We do. And so that was what it was for me. So because of that experience, I was like, nope, I'm not doing this vaccine. I'm blessed to quarantine longer, and I waited and I waited and I did all of the research I could on the vaccine. And what made me nervous was that the way that this vaccine works is a little new. Now traditional vaccines, I'm all for it. Right. In fact, that comes out of our community. That's vaccines come right out of Africa. Right. That's a practice that we started that was co-opted, but that's a whole nother show. But the way this vaccine works is a little different, and that made me nervous. So I waited until I started seeing people around me get really, really sick, and a good friend of mine, said to me, what if this is biological warfare? And this vaccine is our response to that warfare. Are you going to, not take the response to this warfare, or are you going to allow yourself to be under attack? And so that sat with me. And finally, as a matter of fact, just Friday, I got my first shot. Okay. I got my first. And my arm was killing me all weekend. Yes. It was killing me, but it's good now. We can move around. It's good now. But I did my research, you know, and I thought about it, even though the way this vaccine works is new, this is the way, the technology of vaccines, this is the way we're moving.
Right.
And so my friend just had a new grandbaby. I'm sure that grandbaby, all the vaccines that child will get will work like this one.
Yeah.
And so this is the way we're moving anyway. And my understanding, and I'm not a doctor, but, you know, my understanding of how it works is it really, instead of taking a piece of the dead virus like other vaccines, it really takes instructions and it puts it into you and teaches your body how to make that COVID protein.
Got it.
And then since your body makes it, your body can attack it and build up the immunity, which is a lot less, the symptoms are a lot less than if it's just a foreign agent attacking your body, right? That's when, you know, it can break you down fast, it can kill you basically. But since your body is making that protein and developing it, your own body's immune system builds up better and can attack it, and that's it. So it really, and then it dumps the instructions.
Got it.
And
Okay.
that's how I understand, you know, and that's super layman's, I'm not a doctor term. And that scared me at first. But because I was like, well, what if it makes it on its own later? But you've built up the antibodies, you know, and so even if it did, you're still going to fight it off. And now I know someone who was vaccinated and caught COVID again after being vaccinated, but all she has is the sniffles. She has she's got underlying health conditions, very weak immune system. And her doctor said, had she caught it without being vaccinated, she probably would have ended up on the ventilator and everything else. So those are the reasons I think we need to really start seriously, you know, considering it in our community.
Yes.
And even, you know, if you are vaccinated, you can still carry COVID.
Yes, you can.
You know, and so trying to get your loved ones vaccinated is important too, because you can still carry and pass it. You know, you're protecting yourself with the vaccine. So that's my story and where I am with it. But what I don't like is that we've made vaccines polarized as well.
Yes, we have.
You know, and so when people were first getting it, they were really shaming folks. You know, we were shaming each other, like, you didn't get your vaccine, you're an anti-vaxxer. When there's legit reasons, you know, that people are leery, people are concerned. Some people can't for health reasons. You know, so I feel like that in our community is what needs to go away. That judgment needs to go. And as soon as we do that and people, you know, ease into it on their own and see their friends and family getting it, then more of us will get it. Let's just make it a part of our culture, a normal thing to do, and then let people come on along. And I honestly think the vaccine rates will go up if we stop the judgment, you know?
I agree with that, because I think there's a lot of that going on. And I wanted to, you know, talk about this vaccination because I actually read lots of posts. I might not comment on a lot of things, but I do read lots of posts from people. And there was this debate going on between vaccinating or not vaccinating, and you were wrong, you know, if you didn't vaccinate. And my thing is this, like, I love you no matter what, rather you get vaccinated or not vaccinated. And I'm not that person that will say, oh, if you're not vaccinated, you can't be around me. I'm not coming out of that space at all. But I feel like you do, in the sense that sometimes if we just let people figure it out for themselves, we don't allow people time to figure things out for themselves. We want to kind of spoon feed them and force them into knowing you must do. And that ends up being a turnoff for me.
Me too.
You know, I just will tell you, well, then I'm not doing it then, because you keep telling me what I should do.
Exactly.
Let people make their own decisions. Let people educate themselves. Let people see the ones around them who are doing okay. I mean, that's what it took for me. I needed to see, like, okay, you go first, and then if you come out all right, I think I can follow you after that. So I watched a handful of people go first, and that was my take on the vaccine. I said, you know what? I didn't jump at the chance at first. I said, I'm going to watch and see how this pans out. If I'm watching it and it looks okay, and I didn't take the first news story that said someone died because of the vaccine. You know, if I would have done that, I'd have never did it. But I did look at what seemed to be a majority of people were doing okay.
Exactly.
Everyone has their own type of reactions. I mean, I had my mom who at one point she was in the bed, you know, for the day because she just felt out of sorts. It lasted 24 hours and she was okay. I didn't have those. So I don't want to tell you the things you will or won't happen to you if you get the vaccination, because we're all built differently. But I know we do need to stop shaming each other on the decisions we make. This goes with masks. This goes with vaccinations. It's your choice.
Exactly.
All right, we are going to just take another quick break and we'll be back to end our conversation.
Hey everybody, Rob Johnson here from the Urban Impact Show. Have y'all heard about the Riverview Music Festival? The Des Moines Music Coalition is bringing a new vibe to the North Side at the Riviera Amphitheater on Saturday, September 4th. This brand new festival features an all black and brown lineup, including Grammy-nominated Earth Gang, Van Jess, Mick Jenkins, Duckworth, Sudan Archives, and Gentry. Tickets are just $35 in advance, so make sure you get yours today. You can visit www.riverviewmusicfestival.com. Or you can go to Riverview Music Festival on Facebook and, of course, Instagram. Add the link to Riverview Music Festival in the chat to enter for a chance for a couple free tickets, and we'll even throw in a free parking pass. So enter it in right now in this chat while you're watching this show. Hey everybody, Rob Johnson here from the Urban Impact Show. A little bit more about the Riverview Music Festival that's happening on September 4th at the Riviera Amphitheater on the North Side. There's a local stage as well. Local artists include people like Andre Davis, Free Power, Maria Issa, James Tutson, Space, Charlotte Blue, and the Des Moines Music Coalition Summer Camp. The Zayat Lounge, hosted by Des Moines' very own Marquez, will have local spirits and brew. Big Mo Quezon is bringing out that barbecue. What more can you ask for? So again, get your tickets today. Get them in advance. They're only $35. You can go right to www.riverviewmusicfestival.com or Riverview Music Festival on Facebook and Instagram. Again, don't forget, put the link in the chat right now for your chance to win free tickets, and we'll even throw in a free parking space as well.
All right. Welcome back to the Urban Impact Show, where we have talked about masks. We have talked about vaccinations. And I know, Luana, you wanted to say one more thing about vaccinations, and we were talking about planning and that stuff for your vaccination.
Right. Thank you for reminding me. Planning was a big part of getting vaccinated for me. And I feel like people need to hear and have permission to plan it out, because some of us, you know, like myself, I'm a single parent, you know, and I can't get sick. And that was when COVID was really, you know, that's what made it terrifying for me. I can't get sick and I can't die because I will leave a child behind. But what I can do is plan it out. So I waited I knew I was going to go ahead and do it about a month, maybe 2 ago. But I waited to get my first shot on Friday so that my second shot could be Labor Day weekend, so that I would have a long weekend just in case I got sick, you know. And I have people coming in, you know, to the house. I haven't vaccinated my son. We're going to stagger so that, you know, and so I've got food, I've got people, I've got, but it took me having to plan that out. So, you don't have to necessarily run right out and get your vaccine right now. You can plan for it, and it gives you a sense of control. You know,
it does.
You can. I mean, if it makes you feel better, get your will together.
Yeah.
If you really think something might happen, get all of your things in order and then do it.
Yeah.
But planning is a part of it. So I feel like while people are doing the 30-day mask challenge,
there you go.
Another step to that is make your vaccination plan during that 30 days.
Yeah, exactly. We want you to educate yourselves when it comes to the vaccination, when it comes to wearing masks. We're here giving our opinions based off of our experiences and what we've been through, but we really want to encourage people, make your own decisions, look it up for yourself, find an expert or two. Honestly, how I really educated myself with COVID, I found a couple experts that I really felt like were trustworthy. And believe me, I vetted through quite a lot. I didn't take the first person on Facebook who was saying things, but I did just kind of vet through people to see, okay, this is making sense. Okay, yep, that adds up. Okay, what they're saying makes sense. That's how I've educated myself, about COVID.
Me too.
That's how I've made my decisions, with the mask and the vaccinations. It's just really finding, experts that you feel are, speaking truth, I guess. And I think it's easy for science to always go in the direction you want it go in.
Right.
So I always get a little leery when people say, well, science says, well, science can say anything. If you want it to fit your narrative,
that's true.
Science can say it. There's always a scientist out there who can say that.
Exactly.
But I think for me, the overwhelming information I've gotten from people is that there are things that we can do to curb this entire thing.
I totally agree with that. And, you're right. Science, we could, it is said before that we had an extra muscle in our leg. That's why we're so athletic. But find who speaks that truth to you. And the beauty of it is, we do have choice.
Yes.
You've got choices on which vaccine. I did research on each one to find out which one was better for me. And that's a good thing, the fact that we have choice. And I think we have a question.
Yeah, we do. So it is, should children be able to choose whether or not to take the vaccine, or parents and guardians decide for them, or schools should mandate them?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Well, I tell you, I have children that are grown. And yes, they made their own decision, and my middle child is 20, so she's over 18, but not 21. And she was right away. She was one of the first people. Now my 14-year-old has disabilities, and I'll have to make the decision for him. If he didn't, I probably would let him make the decision himself, at a certain age. Younger than that, I don't know. I think maybe the parents should. What do you think?
Yeah, so my son is 16 now, but at the time when he was 15, I let him make the decision himself. We talked about everything about it, and ultimately he decided to do it because we live in the home with my parents. And so he said, you know what, Mom, I'm going to do this because I'm thinking about Granny and Papa. And that was on him. There was no pressure for me because I really wanted to give him, I didn't want to take that power away from him. And I know some people will say, well, he's 15, don't be giving him, tell him what to do. But I think it was for me as a parent setting him up that this is life. You're going to have to make decisions in life all the time. And I might not always be there when you pick up that phone. Not saying that I physically won't be around. I just might not answer the phone, or I might not be there to help you make that decision. And so I want to be able to equip my children, both of them made the decision on what they wanted to do. And I think had it not been that way, my son might not have taken it. And I would have been okay with that because I wanted him to make the decision for himself. Now, if I would have school-age children, I probably would follow the rule of thumb of just getting them vaccinated, as I would with all of the vaccinations that they received growing up. So I probably would say, your younger kids, I've I've got a niece that's 5. I'd probably be saying, yes, she's going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I think that's something that, the parents need to be able to be responsible for. Should schools mandate them? Y'all gonna get me in trouble being on the school board here, but let me just say, I think that the schools should probably stay out of it.
I agree.
I think parents, we've got to trust parents to be parents.
Yeah.
And they know their kids best.
Yeah.
And we have to have some level of trust that they'll do what they need to do. Because there are some cultures that don't believe in vaccinations.
It's true.
So then you've got the school mandating it. I don't think that I think schools should stay out of it.
Agreed.
To me, this is different than the mask thing, because I can hear someone already where you just said, schools should be able to, tell us to do the mask thing, but now you're saying no to vaccine. I think those are two different things in a sense that I think it's okay for a school to say, wear your mask, or we highly recommend it, or have a mandate. I think that's okay for a school. We've got those kids for 8 hours a day. The vaccine, I tread a little bit differently on.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And there's so many different reasons, parents will make the decision not to. Like if you take the Pfizer vaccine, it uses embryos and stem cells. And for certain religions, that's a no. So I think it gets a little muddy for the schools. And I get it. Schools mandate other vaccines. Yeah. Those vaccines have been around for a very long time. Yeah. And even those, I think you can opt out of to a certain extent based on religious reasons or what have you. And so I think it gets very muddy I'm not ready for the schools to mandate it just yet.
Yeah, and I'm not even ready as a board to even make that decision. That's something that I really want to stay away from. But I think this really leads us into where we're at now, which is we know that our young kids are not able to be vaccinated right now.
Right.
And this is a really hot topic discussion, with parents. The question, I get this all the time. Do I or don't I send my young child to school? What am I supposed to do with that? And how should I move forward? And so I don't know. That's a tough one to make a decision on. So what do you think about parents who are having to make this decision?
If your district offers it and you're uncomfortable sending your young one to school, this is why I think we should have learned a lesson from quarantine. And had we done that, we could have been awesome right now with online stuff. So the online option, I personally think should still be there. In our district, it's not. So next week, everybody is back in school and people are very nervous. So I know our board has been grappling with whether or not to have all masked classrooms, unmasked classrooms. They're thinking of every option here, as they should. I think, my child is old enough. I think if I had a child that wasn't, I would seriously be looking at all of my schooling options right now. Homeschooling, smaller Montessori type schools or what have you. I would be looking at that. And the beauty is those choices have always been there.
Right.
They've always been there if you can do it, Yeah. And maybe it's time to get creative for some folks and have like a neighborhood pod, where you all decide to homeschool and then you take turns or something and you're in your own little cluster.
Right.
There are things that we can do. I would be, if I had a child under 12, it's 12, I think.
Yes, 12.
I would be looking at those options rather than attacking my school board members.
Exactly. I like that. Yes, I like that. I think options are key, in this right now. And I know we can't be all things to all people, but I do think we have to be mindful of that the vaccination is not offered for our younger kids. And I think we need to provide options for them. Thankfully here within our district here in Des Moines, we did offer virtual as an option.
Awesome.
We know that virtual is not the space in which kids should be learning. So we know that. But we also heard from parents who were very nervous about sending their littles to school, and rightfully so. So we did offer for the first semester that option, the whole mask and mask classrooms. we looked at that, but that's so challenging because here's the thing. You could be in the mask classroom, but what happens to the 2 or 3 kids one day who comes into that room and says, well, I don't want my mask on today and I don't have to wear it and you can't make me. So it's a really challenging thing to do that.
Or they both go to football practice.
Exactly.
It's like, how do you even make that work? And so it's hard. It really is difficult. And I'm so glad that you're on school board and have to make that decision.
We got to make those decisions, you know. We try our very best, and I just like to keep reiterating this for people, is that people on your board are trying to make the best decisions.
Absolutely.
It's challenging to be in this space right now without a guidebook, knowing that it's in our laps, you know. And so we want to make sure that we do best, but I do think options make sense for people, only because people are at different, you know, this is like running a race and we're all at different spots in this race when it's called COVID. And so the more we can give to people to be able to help them feel comfortable, you know, to feel comfortable until we've got, you know, this vaccine. But then let's just be clear, not all the littles are going to get vaccinated either, because it might be a culture thing. It might be a religious thing. It might be, you know, I'm not able to get vaccinated. And so we know that that's not going to happen either. But I still think at the end of the day, we need a lot of those options.
Yeah, it's the options. I keep going back to, you know, the virtual. If we would really, you know, take a lesson from what, because schools put virtual stuff together really quickly, you know, because they had to. Now let's take some time and energy and put some real creative thought into that and keep it as an option. I know. I think are we close to the same age? We're close to the same age.
I'm 43.
Okay, I'm older than you. I'm her elder. I'm your elder. But not that much older. But I learned a ton of things through video when I was a kid. Schoolhouse Rock was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you remember that?
I do, yes.
I learned about pronouns. I learned the preamble. You know, we could creatively use video, music, you know, that sort of thing. We can see each other real time now with our technology. If we put some focus and some creativity into that, our kids really could learn virtually, you know, and then maybe we think of other options for socialization because that's also really important. But again, it's about thinking about options, you know, and giving people options, especially since the vaccine's not approved yet for young children.
No.
Yeah. So
no, it's not. And do you think that when this vaccination, because I've been reading, is on the verge of becoming like fully approved by the FDA, do you think we might see an uptick with people getting it because they're waiting for that versus something being rushed and, you know, quickly put together?
Right. I think so. I think that will make people feel comfortable. And I think the fact that we're not rushing the process or making some special provision for the FDA to move faster is actually wise. I really do. I think when people start to, you know, see that, okay, the FDA's approved it and there's been a 7-year trial, and, you know, that sort of thing, I do think we'll see an uptick, and we'll never get 100%. That's any vaccine.
Yeah, no, it's
you know, there are people who don't take flu shots. There are people who you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm out of words. Who don't take the other vaccines?
That's true.
Opt out.
That's
Opt out is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, that as we move forward, because COVID's never leaving us ever.
Right.
And more time passes, I do think we'll see an uptick. But the options should never go away.
Right.
With those options, we can also be more inclusive, you know, to people who, I know during COVID, there were families or neighborhoods that started to teach their own children in their own little neighborhood in their own language.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And those are students who struggled in traditional school with ESL.
Yeah.
But when they were able to learn from the people they knew best, you know, in their own little neighborhood, in their own language, they actually did better. So why are we not capitalizing off of that?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, I get it. Well, we've spent an hour just about here talking about masks and talking about vaccinations and talking about COVID. So are there any lasting words that you want to say to the audience before I wrap up too with a few words?
I'd just like to say, you know, thank you for tuning in. First of all, I really stand behind our community. I love our community. I understand being hesitant, and I understand how people feel, but you do have power in this thing. You know, you can do your research, you can make a plan, and you can make your decision, and then demand the options. Maybe you have a creative idea that no one's thought of yet. You know, go to your school board member and say, hey, have we thought of this? So that could be an option that works for many people other than just you.
Yeah. And, you know, I think this whole process is about educating yourself, you know, doing what you feel is best. No pressure here from this space, but, you know, we want you to just take care of yourself. Exactly. You know, I think if COVID's reminded us of anything, it's just life is short, you know, no matter what. So we want to just encourage you all to educate yourself, take care of yourself, do what you feel, you know, is best for you and your family, and just to really stay safe out there. And just so you know, too, we're going to wrap this conversation up, but I want to say just a couple more things. One, if you haven't heard, Deidre DeGier has now officially announced that she is going to put her hat in the ring for governor. And then also for the Urban Impact Show, for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be live. We're going to be on location. We have the Back to School Bash next week. And then on the 29th, we have the Sister Soul Fest that we're excited to be a part of at Evelyn K. Davis Park. The ladies will be hosting that show. And then we will have our hosts for next week's show. And then in September, we're going to talk about all things health, all things health concerning us as Black folks. And then in October, you're going to get an opportunity to hear from people who are running for all races, from school board to legislature to governor. We're going to have them all here in October on the Urban Impact Show. So we want to thank you for spending your time with us and listening to our conversation. And we want you all to take care of yourselves and be safe, and join us next week for the Urban Impact Show.
Hey everybody, Rob Johnson here from the Urban Impact Show. A little bit more about the Riverview Music Festival that's happening on September 4th at the Riviera Amphitheater on the north side. There's a local stage as well. Local artists include people like Andre Davis, Free Power, Maria Issa, James Tutson, Space, Charlotte Blue, and the Des Moines Music Coalition Summer Camp. The Zayed Lounge, hosted by Des Moines' very own Marquez, will have local spirits and brew. Big Mo Quezon is bringing out that barbecue. What more can you ask for? So again, get your tickets today. Get them in advance. They're only $35. You can go right to www.riverviewmusicfestival.com or Riverview Music Festival on Facebook and Instagram. Again, don't forget, put the link in the chat right now for your chance to win free tickets, and we'll even throw in a free parking space as well.